Today we have with us Dr. Abhijit Sarkar, an eminent figure in the corporate world, Fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors London, and holds various qualifications, including a Doctorate in Management Studies, an MBA in HR Management, currently Senior VP and Country Head Admin and Procurement at Sharekhan Ltd. Dr. Abhijit has played a crucial role in corporate real estate, administration, general services, facilities, health and safety, security, travel, MICE, etc., and has written handbooks, manuals, and process notes for most of the organizations he has worked with. He has received numerous awards and recognitions, including the Indian Achiever Award and recognition as one of the India's best facility heads by Commercial Design magazine. As an advisory board member of Infra and IIBMS, Abhijit has contributed significantly to the industry by sharing his knowledge and expertise through various conferences, seminars, and articles pertaining to facility management, travel, infrastructure, procurement, security management, sustainability, and green building, real estate, etc. Dr. Abhijit has also served as a core member of the Group Admin Forum constituted by ICICI Bank and an honorary board member on the board of Infra. He is also on Central Leadership Board of GACS, a global association for corporate services that provides governance, support structure, and guidance to various governmental, non-governmental organizations to ensure ease of doing business. Overall, Dr. Abhijit Sarkar is a prominent public figure in the fraternity and has made significant contributions to the industry. His knowledge, expertise, and vision have improved the industry, and he continues to be an inspiring leader and industry thought leader. I welcome you, Abhijit. Let us learn from your experiences.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sonia. And I'm really honored and privileged to be here on this platform and very keen to share inputs on, various questions you will be asking me. Thank you so much.
Welcome. So, Abhijit, as someone with extensive experience in admin, procurement, and corporate real estate, what advice would you give to startups on setting up an efficient and cost-effective infrastructure?
Sonia, one thing is very important when especially a startup is looking for premises, a kind of model which they would like to operate for. There are multiple options available as of today. Post-COVID, we have always learned that, you don't require workplace to work. Work can happen from anywhere. But having said that, it doesn't mean that you should not have a premises, because premises are very important to collaborate, connect, and network. So it's very important. You can have a hybrid model, but at the same time you need to have a physical presence. But normally I've seen when startup look at opening an office, for them cost is the only criteria, and what they do by reducing the cost, they end up in creating a very pathetic offices. So today what you require, maybe you should not look for a bigger offices. Maybe you can look for a smaller offices and have a hybrid model. But when you look for an offices, you should ensure that the quality of infrastructure is very sustainable, because if you are looking for a tenure of short term or long term, you need to ensure that even if you have to dispose that furniture, you get a appropriate return value on those furnitures. And today when you have to maintain an office, you need a very qualitative infrastructure. And qualitative infrastructure is not only about the non-IT infrastructure, it is also about the IT infrastructure. Because when you start operating an office, the most of the startup thinks that I am not sure about my return of investment and the break even when it will come. So why I should get into a modality of spending a significant amount in this kind of infrastructure? But then there are a lot of avenues available today. It's not necessary that you should spend money out of your pocket. Maybe there are multiple options available, like you can have an office operating out of co-working space wherein you can create co-working space wherein you can have an efficient infrastructure and you can have your presence. At the same time, there are operators available in the market who can fund you for making your office. Rather than going for a capex model, you can have your own premises and use the funding for maintaining and upbringing an office, but without investing in money. So what happens, you have an operating model, and over a period of time, what happens, in case you can get into an arrangement with such kind of operators, that in case you are not able to survive for over a year, the operator moves out with those furnitures and place, and he is at the liberty to lease out that premises to anyone else. So you are not at threat of getting into a commitment or holding a bigger liability for a longer tenure. So you should try to look out for an operator. If you are having a money to invest, you should do that, because at the end of the day, having a firm will give you the right of capitalization that will have significant impact on your books. But if you feel that I don't want to invest money on this project, rather I will use my money on anything else, then there are multiple avenues available in the market wherein you can go for operators who can build a very qualitative office for you. But having said that, it's very important that you should have an office which has a good infrastructure, because today when you hire people, when you bring customer, definitely they look at your premises. And when you have a poor quality of work or substandard quality of infrastructure which are not sustainable, you see the door hinges coming out, or you see the table is not proper shape, definitely it gives a very negative impact to your employees as well as to the customer. So when you look for an infrastructure, try to create a very qualitative infrastructure, and there are ways and means available. If you don't want to spend the money, you can have an operator who is doing for you. But then at the end of the day, you need to ensure that you have a qualitative infrastructure to ensure that you create a brand visibility amongst your employee, amongst your consumer. Cost effective, it's like there are various designs available how you make your space more efficient, because when you design an office, most of the startup ensures that they get into too much of claustrophobic design. You don't do that. You can create a qualitative product, you can use qualitative product, but have a design which is definitely a cost effective. And cost effective is not only talking about building an office with cost effective model, but building an office with a sustainable model. It means over a period of time, the quality of product what you use gives you a return of investment, like the lightings and other things what you are using. Definitely maybe an investment at a time, but over a period of time the energy efficiency will definitely give you a return of investment. So there are various means and avenues available. You need to collaborate with the architect, you need to collaborate with multiple operators in the market, and try to look for various options suiting your business. It's not that every startup would have similar kind of setup. Each setup depends on your business requirement. So you have to engage with multiple partners, either an architect or either a property consultant or a property management company. Explicitly spell out your requirement, your budget, criteria, and then take a solution from them. Rather than you deciding a solution, go for advisors in the market. There are a lot of advisors available in the market who would give you right solution at a qualitative price, at a competitive price, and a qualitative product.
Right. So what are some of the common mistakes that startups make when it comes to managing their facilities and infrastructure? How can they avoid them?
See, the first criteria for startup is cost, because startups are ideally constrained more about, they think more about the money, because they feel facility is a secondary part, and for them investing on business is the primary thing. But they don't understand, when they don't maintain a facility, it's definitely going to impact, because facility is something which is visible, which is seen. Your customers or employee can see the way it is maintained. And normally startup, what they do, they compromise on the cost. Either they will hire an agency who is not at all competent in the market, but only because he is cheaper in the market, they will hire him. At the same time, they will not hire adequate resource to manage that facility. They will, instead of when you have a premises which require minimum 3 people to manage it, they will try to hire one or two people, and in that way they end up doing compromise. And when you have, and they load up those people with multiple responsibility. Just for an example, I will give you. Startup believe, in multitasking. They will hire an housekeeper and they will load him with multiple tasks of pantry boy, dispatch boy, so on and so forth. And in that manner, what they do, they end up, in compromising the quality. Especially when you hire an housekeeper, you need to ensure that the housekeeper comes from a very prominent agency. He has undergone a proper training, and to get such kind of people, you need to invest money. But startup normally think that, spending money on these kind of facilities or resources is a cost for them, and there is no return of investment. So why do they invest that? But they do not understand, if at all their facility is not maintained, that will not only impact the aesthetic, but that will also impact the life cycle of a product. Because if you can't maintain the fixtures, furniture and all, over a period of time, that will start deteriorating and you will lose up, in the life cycle. And at the same time, if the quality of asset is not maintained, it can be seen, it is visible, your consumer, your employees can see the level of maintenance you are doing for your office. If the washrooms are not maintained, your employee will not be satisfied. But at the end of the day, if you have to keep your employee, your consumer satisfied, you need to ensure that you have an efficient facility. And to have an efficient facility, you need to have an efficient resource. And to have an efficient resource, you need to spend up. So startup should come out with the mindset that facility is a cost and we should try avoid spending on that. That's not the right mindset. At least facility is something where you need to spend and ensure that you get a return of investment by having a higher footfall, by having a better sustainable employee, so that you don't have fallout of employee because of a poor facility.
So Abhijit, in your experience, how important is it for entrepreneurs to focus on sustainability and green building practices? And what are some of the benefits they can derive from doing so?
Sonia, sustainability is definitely going to be here and is going to be emerging trend over a period of time, because COVID has already taught us that if you don't respect the mother earth, how badly it can backfire. And for the entrepreneur and startup, they are the one who can drive this, because it is always a top-down approach. And especially today, sustainable practices are considered to be one of the respectable practices, because the generation, when a startup is looking for an engagement, or when he's looking for holding an office, or starting an operations, he's definitely going to engage a lot of employees and working with them only on perception that my owner is looking for a practice which are very sustainable. So the advantage of sustainability is you not only contribute to the nation, not only contribute to the community, but you also ensure that you are saving significant amount of cost on your investment. Like for example, even if I'm looking to have a office, I would rather prefer to have an office which is operating, or which is having its presence in a building which is IGBC rated building, or rated by any of the certified body which certifies normally green building. What happens when you look for such kind of properties, that will give you a better return on investment, because these buildings are very energy efficient. So when you operate from those office, what happens? You save on your energy. Today, when you are practicing sustainability, your stakeholders, your consumers are largely looking for an organization which follows best practices in terms of green building or a sustainable management. And when you do that, and there has been a law which is called ESG governance, that is normally applicable to the major corporate. But if you start taking fundamentals of ESG, it gives you a lot of visibility among the stakeholders, because when a consumer comes to you and he sees that you're very rigorously following up sustainability, he will definitely have a different kind of apprehension for you. So sustainability at one hand enhances your brand value. Secondly, it gives you significant return of investment on your investment what you do. If at all you are operating from any premises, of you are invested in any kind of infrastructure which is sustainable, you are going to get a better return of investment. Like if you have got LED instead of CFL you have used, so those are all energy efficient product. So over a period of time, the return of investment is going to be very significant. You are operating out of a very significant building which is an IGBC rated or a building rated by ASSOCHAM. So what happens, you are saving significant on energy because the electrical design or the air condition design are made in such a way that they are very much aggressive in terms of saving your energy. So over a period of time, you are not only returning your contribution to the community, to the mother earth, but at the same time you are also able to save a cost. So if you follow sustainability, you are not only going to enhance your brand value, you are going to hire more talent, because today's generation is more inclined on working with the organization which follow sustainability in and out, and your consumer will be very happy to partner with a company which is following sustainability, and definitely over a period of time you will save significant amount on your investment.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, how can entrepreneurs effectively manage their procurement and supply chain operations to ensure that they are getting the best value for their money while even maintaining the quality and reliability? How is that?
So supply chain is a very important function for most of the startups, and for them the first and foremost thing is having visibility of future. Because what most of the startups do is that they don't have control over the inventory management, because when they go for any kind of sourcing, they ideally lack understanding of getting partnered with right person, and at the end of the day they don't have much of idea about how to manage the inventory. So it's very important for most of the startups to ensure that first of all they build relationship with right partners, multiple partners, because you anyways cannot have one partner working with. Over a period of time, when things goes bad, you will end up winding up your business, because if you don't have multiple suppliers, and if one supplier gets bankrupted, or if he's not able to supply or work with you, then your business comes to a standstill. So at the end of the day, you should have a proper redundancy planning, work with variable people, variable supplier, and once you work with multiple people, you will also be aware of the offerings about the quality in the market. First and foremost thing, you should have a proper inventory management so as to avoid wastages, because many a times you don't forecast your future demand, and based on that you end up buying material at bulk, and what happens over a period of time, the quality of product starts getting deteriorated, you lose on the warranty, or many a time those products also become absolute because of the technology getting advancement. So you should have clear cut visibility of your future demand, and accordingly you should plan out your inventory. And apart from that, what is more important for today's supply chain fundamental is you should automate your end-to-end procure to pay, because what happens if you adapt technology like AI or machine learning, that has got significant ability to give you various analytics, because today data is very important, and supply chain depends largely on various fundamental, and one of the important fundamental is data analytics. So when you use procure to pay various fundamentals like AI, machine learning, or any kind of software or ERP, that's going to help you out in doing a proper forecasting, proper demanding. To an extent, even technology gives you a hint that what can happen in future, whether there could be a disruption in kind of supplier, in kind of supply of any particular product. So you should be very careful while you prepare your annual supply chain planning. So adapting to technology is very important, working with multiple partner is more important, and educating your team to how to work on efficient supply chain management is very key factor. Supply chain is what supply chain is doing more with less, and that is the fundamental which every entrepreneur should have in their life.
Sure. So see, security these days is very important, whether it is physical or digital, and they have to protect their data, and assets have to be protected. What are the special considerations that startups should keep in mind related to this?
So security, basically, if you talk, there are two security. One is the physical security, and one is about the information security. So both the securities are equally important for every startup, because when they are operating an office, they need to ensure that their entire office is secured and managed efficiently. So when you talk about secured premises, when it's a safe premises, your people are well educated, the leaders and the managers are well educated about what should be the security protocols, what kind of devices you are using doing to ensure that the premises is under proper surveillance, what kind of devices you are using to ensure that your people are alerted from time to time in case of any mishappening or in case of any threat. At the same time, having proper kind of drills and all, and keeping your people educated on, in kind of any disaster, how should they react. Information security, basically you should look for, a very encrypted model wherein your hardwares and every hardware has to be properly encrypted, so that you don't end up your data flowing from your devices to anybody else, because today hackers are very intelligent. They are one step ahead of you. So a proper encryption is very much important. And since these kind of applications and security checks especially requires a lot of investment. So maybe a startup can opt for a consultant or an agency wherein this kind of activity can be outsourced, wherein they will not only play important role in encrypting your devices, but also they will work with you as a cloud service provider where your data is secured and it's protected from any kind of hacking. So you need to work out with multiple partners based on your budget. If you have a efficiency in terms of monetary benefit to spend, then definitely you should go for cloud computing or cloud based solution. Or if you don't have enough budget or capital to spend on your IT infrastructure, there are operators available in the market who can provide you with lot of solutions which are not only secured, safe and very much agile. So that's something I would recommend the startups to look for.
Wonderful. So, as a seasoned professional yourself, what qualities do you look for in a startup founder or entrepreneur, and how can one develop these qualities to become more successful in their endeavors?
Qualities, first of all, when they have to deal with consumer, irrespective of the size of a consumer, one thing is very important is, they should have a clear cut communication skill. And that is very much important, because most of the time, confusion happens when you're not able to explicitly spell out what a consumer is looking for. Maybe you may be right in, giving a solution, but how you interpret that solution, many a times it goes for a toss. So somewhere or other, you should ensure that you develop that communication skill. Then there are various means and mechanism to do it. Either you go for coaching, or you go and learning newspaper or learning magazines and book, and keeping updated about the languages and grammars and so on and so forth. Because today consumer, when they interact with you they see that how you present yourself. Then secondly, planning and organizing is very important, because I have seen the startups are very casual when it comes to planning and organizing. And in this case, most of the time they end up losing a business. Many a times what happens, a consumer has a priority, but most of the time startup don't realize that importance, and for them their priorities are more important. So it's very important that when they interact with consumer, they should always have a proper strategy in planning and executing, because at the end of the day, if you don't plan or execute in an efficient manner, definitely you are going to end up losing a significant business. You should be empathetic, because you should try to understand from where your stakeholders are coming from, whether it's a consumer or your employees. But you should have the quality of empathy in yourself to go into their shoes and understand what they are trying to say, and then react rather than reacting monotonously. So these are few things which I would want startups to inculcate in themselves for their visible presence amongst the stakeholders.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. How can startups effectively manage their travel and MICE, like meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibitions, operations, especially in the current climate of remote work, virtual events? How effectively can be done?
See, there are two things, if I have to divide travel and MICE, travel is something about a business travel, whereas MICE is about, it's about events and incentive tours. So first I will talk about the travel part. So now it's very important to decide, what kind of travel you are looking for. And apparently with lot of virtualization happening, lot of things can be brought under virtual meeting. But then I will tell you, Indian market is very particular. It is not as other European or US market wherein things go with virtual meeting, because today we want to have a physical handshake. So definitely there are certain places or meetings wherein your physical presence would be required. So one thing is more important, because travel is a very significant cost as of today. And when startup is trying to have his travel program, he should have a proper travel policy in his place to understand that, who should be given what. And today when employee travel, they try to mix up travel with business and luxury. So definitely when he's travel for business, he would like to have an experience also during the travel. He would definitely not expect that you send him by a train or make him stay in a lodge or a low end hotel. So what you should do as a startup, you should try to collaborate with other startups within your community. Try to bring in a consolidation of volume, and and coordinate with some of the agents and share your volume as a consolidation, so that what happens, on the basis of economy of scale, you get a better rate. And once you have a better rate, you are able to get a experience at a competitive rate. Because if you are trying to work as an individual, the deals or the programs that will be offered to you will be much expensive than five startups coming together and offering their commitment to a travel agent would be much effective. So they should try to collaborate with some of the other startups and try to consolidate the business and share with the agencies, so that they get a better rate, and with this better rate they are able to create an experience for their employees. When you talk about MICE and incentive program, during COVID we have seen that various MICE were conducted, the experience were conducted based on virtualization. But then virtual MICE are never effective, because at the end of the day, what you see is you experience, and what you see in real is you feel. It is not by virtual you get some experience. I don't believe in that. To an extent, virtual MICE matters, wherein the experience may not be such larger, but when you're talking about experience of nature or experience of any kind of natural activity all around, definitely virtual MICE won't help. So in that case also, you should have a proper incentives program. You should have an yearly calendar. Normally what happens, haphazardly if you plan your MICE, it will be definitely a very cost effective, because the tourism industry is at peak. And when you have to plan your programs, you have to plan much in advance. Like if you are planning any of the destination, you cannot do 15 days a month in advance, because every activity of a MICE requires proper planning, proper security process to be followed, and there are a lot of due diligence needs to be done. Because if you are looking for a destination, you should know what the destination has to offer and at what price. And there are multiple stakeholders. You have airlines, you have got tourism board, you have got visa authorities, you have got hotel, you have got local destination management companies. So you need to create network amongst all those people. And when you do that, it only can happen when you have your yearly annual MICE program in place, so that you can start working on them in advance. And rather than going for a short term notice, if you can plan in advance, that will not only give you a significant saving, but that will also give you an avenue to have a well planned event. Because when you do things at the last moment, there are a lot of confusion, and many a time it also happens that the whole MICE experience goes for a toss. If you are having annual calendar plan, even your employees who are trying to be a part of that incentive program will be felt glad that there is a commitment from an organization that if I have achieved this target, my incentives stand hold good, because the yearly calendar is announced. So a proper planning and advanced planning is very important for every entrepreneur.
See, health and safety is one of the very important things in any organization. How can entrepreneurs prioritize health and safety in their facilities and operations, according to you? And what are some of the best practices they can adopt to ensure the well-being of their employees, customers?
So Sonia, one thing is very important today. There is a common phrase which says that a healthy employee is a productive employee. And irrespective why people say I want to work with Microsoft, I want to work with Google, because the environment there is a very congenial, where employee feels he is always safe and secure. Even during COVID, when people were asked to come to office, they only came at a glance, because they knew that my facility head or a facility manager has created an environment for me which is safe and secure. If I have to travel to office and vice versa to home, I will definitely be very safe and secured, and definitely I'll not be facing any kind of contamination. yeah, will be taken care of, and the trust on your facility manager brings talent back to the office. So when startups or entrepreneur looks for a premises or a workplace, the first and foremost thing for them is to have a comprehensive health and safety plan in place. And what you mean by health and safety plan, what kind of premises you are creating, how safe and secured is that, how you have designed that. Many a time, you have a premises meant for 40 people, but then startups, to ensure that they enhance the space efficiency, create an additional space and make it too much of congestion, and that is against the norms of health and safety. Because if at all the premises is meant for 40 people, it means 40 people can effectively work there well. And if it is more than 40 people, the major challenge is the CO2 level of 100 people is definitely going to create an environment which is not safe for your employees out there. The air quality will deteriorate. So there were a time when nobody was aware why their people are falling sick, and that's how the concept of sick building syndrome came into place. When buildings were not maintained, the quality of air conditioning were so poor that the air quality deteriorated. So when you talk about startups and entrepreneur looking for a workplace, they should ensure that rather than making it in a very congested workplace, they should be more like a spacious workplace. The infrastructure should be such that their people feel safe, or they are very well aware of what the indoor air quality is about. There are a lot of technology which justifies that what my indoor quality is. When I come to office, if at all I see the indoor quality, I will be happy that no, I am in a premises which is safe from any kind of element. The design should be such that in case of any hazard or disaster, my employees should be able to evacuate the building at a very short span of time. So you should keep your employees educated from time to time on the fact that what health and safety parameters are about, especially accumulating papers and or the blockages in the fire safety should be avoided. And there has to be periodic drills and sessions which the entrepreneur should conduct for their employees, so that they are aware that in case of disaster, how should they react to that disaster situation. And also they ensure that what kind of things should be kept in office, or what kind of things should be immediately destroyed, so that they don't become threat for their office premises. So educating their employees, maintaining a premises which is safe and secure by various technological means, and creating a design which is very congenial, and it is not too congested where employee feels that he is not able to work in an efficient manner. The environment has to be the infrastructure has to be very ergonomically designed. You should not think of cutting cost on infrastructure wherein your employee is not able to work. Giving a substandard chair wherein he is supposed to work throughout the day will definitely make him sick, because if it is not supporting the economics in efficient way. So there are a lot of things which the entrepreneur should practice. Have a right designer in place to build an office, and from the safety parameters, keep on educating their employees from time to time, so that in case of any disaster, the team members are aware how to reciprocate to such situation.
Wonderful. Yeah. So you are yourself member of various industry bodies and association. What benefits do you think can startups derive from networking and collaborating with their other professionals in their field? And how can they get involved in these organizations?
So Sonia, networking is a very strong fundamental, because maybe a decade ago it was very difficult for a startup or any entrepreneur to connect with multiple people. But with today, the fundamental or the concept of networking has given you an open platform to reach out to various people without compromising the governance, because reaching out to people also requires proper channel. So networking, there are various associations like BNI and all, where the startups could become the members, and based on that membership, there are periodical meeting which happens between the buyer and seller, wherein the entrepreneur can connect with the right forum, the right people to explore their business, create their brand visibility. Networking also helps you out in learning the train and the best practices, because you meet multiple people amongst the industry and you come to know what the organization practices, so that you are able to take those good practices into your business. At the same time, you are able to get multiple partners who would be interested in your product, and in that case you are able to sell out your product to those kind of people. During networking, you can also identify a mentor who can help you out and who can guide you over your journey of your entrepreneurship. So networking is definitely very strong mechanism to expand your connect, expand your business, expand your knowledge through reaching out to right people and right professional within the industry.
Right. Wonderful. It's been a pleasure, Abhijit, to have you with us today. And thank you so much for joining us. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for sharing your extensive knowledge and experience with us. Great.
Thank you so much, Sonia.
Thank you.